Your horses are mine now. The message popped up on my phone, along with photos of my 6 beloved horses being loaded onto strange trailers. It was from Marcus, my brother-in-law. Even though he was stealing from me, I felt oddly calm. I'm Alexandra, 32 years old, and horses are my life. My grandmother started our family's horse breeding business, and over the years, we've raised some of the best show jumpers in the country. The horses Marcus was taking weren't just animals. They were part of my family's legacy. Another text arrived. Already sold them. Thanks for making me rich. I could almost see Marcus grinning, just like he always did when he thought he was getting away with something. He'd been like this ever since he married my sister, Kate. I set my phone down and looked out the window. The pastures were empty. My horses should have been there, grazing peacefully. Marcus had planned this carefully, waiting for me to be away at a horse conference. What he didn't know was that I had canceled my trip at the last minute. My phone buzzed again. It was Kate. Alex, don't be mad. Marcus is just trying to help us. We need the money, and you have so many horses. Kate always made excuses for him. Marcus had been asking about our horses' value for years, making little comments about how wasteful it was to keep them. Now he had finally acted on his greed. The buyer is waiting, Marcus texted. Just sold them for $4.2 million. Not bad, huh? I smiled. He had no idea. The registration papers he had were just copies. The real ones, the ones proving ownership and bloodline, were locked in my lawyer's office. Without them, the horses were worthless to any serious buyer. Good luck with that, I replied, adding a thumbs-up emoji. My phone rang immediately, Marcus. I ignored it and sent an email to the horse registry, letting them know about the attempted theft. There was no way he could transfer ownership now. I checked my security cameras. There he was, leading my horses into the trailers, using the gate code Kate had given him. My prize stallion Thunder, the champion mares Luna and Star, and 3 young horses full of promise. He was stealing them all. Another message, you can't stop this. The money's already transferred. These horses belong to someone else now. He thought he was in control, but I had planned ahead. The documents he stole were fakes. The security cameras had caught everything. And best of all, each horse had a hidden GPS tracker woven into its mane. I called my lawyer. Sarah, it's happening exactly as we expected. Can you start the legal process? 3 missed calls from Kate. I loved her, but Marcus had blinded her to the truth for too long. This time, he'd gone too far. On the security feed, I watched Marcus drive off with the trailers. He had no clue he was heading straight into disaster. My phone buzzed again. The buyer needs the registration papers. Where are they? I smirked. Check your copies. Everything you need should be there. A pause. Then, these are just copies. Where are the originals? Oh, those. They're safe. Very safe. Good luck with your sale. As I watched the trailers disappear, I felt a mix of anger, sadness for my sister, and satisfaction. Marcus thought he was outsmarting me, but he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. I checked my GPS tracker. The horses were moving north toward the state line. Perfect. Ignoring Marcus's frantic messages, I dialed the state police. I'd like to report a horse theft. I have GPS coordinates, security footage, and proof of ownership. Marcus thought he had won. He was about to find out just how wrong he was. The next day went exactly as I expected. I sat in my office, watching the GPS trackers on my phone. My stolen horses had stopped at a stable just across the state line. Right on time, my phone rang. This is Detective Harris with the state police. A serious voice said, We found your horses at Blue Creek Stables. The buyer says he bought them legally. I have proof they were stolen, I replied. I can send security footage and ownership papers right now. Before the detective could answer, another call came in. Marcus. I put the detective on hold. You think you're so smart, Marcus growled. He sounded angry, not cocky like before. The buyer's lawyers are asking questions I can't answer. What did you do? I stayed calm. Me? I'm not the one who stole 6 horses and tried to sell them without the right papers. How's that going for you? It's just a technical issue, he snapped. Kate signed the bill of sale. She's family. She has a right to sell them too. I almost laughed. Kate doesn't own the horses. Only I do. And you? You only have worthless copies of the registration papers. Silence. Then Marcus's tone changed. He was trying to be nice now. Look, Alex, we can work something out. The buyer already paid. If you just sign the papers, I'll split the money with you. Everybody wins. I finally laughed. Everybody wins. You stole my horses, Marcus. This isn't about money. It's about you thinking you can take whatever you want. Through my security cameras, I saw 3 police cars arrive at my gate. Perfect timing. The police are involved now, I told him. You should start looking for a good lawyer. I switched back to Detective Harris. Sorry about that. I'm sending you the footage now. My lawyer will meet you at Blue Creek Stables with all the real documents. Next, Kate called. She was crying. How could you do this to us? Marcus was trying to help. We needed that money. We're about to lose our house. And that makes stealing okay? I asked gently. Kate, listen to yourself. Marcus tried to sell over $4 million worth of stolen horses. He had a buyer. Everything would have been fine if you had just given us the papers. I sighed. She was repeating Marcus's lies. Kate, there was never going to be a legal sale. No real buyer would take horses without proper papers. Either Marcus was being scammed, or he was planning to take the money and run. She went quiet. Maybe, for the first time, she saw the truth. The police are bringing the horses back, I continued. I won't press charges as long as everything is returned. But Kate, you need to think hard about why you're still defending him. Through my cameras, I saw the police cars driving up. My lawyer, Sarah, stepped out, carrying a thick folder of paperwork. A text from the stable manager at Blue Creek popped up. Police are here. Your horses are safe. The buyer disappeared. Of course he did. No real buyer would risk being part of a crime. I had a feeling Marcus's buyer was either fake or part of a scam. I let the police in and met them at my door. Detective Harris flipped through my documents, nodding. You were ready for this. My brother-in-law has a history of trying to take what isn't his, I said. I learned to be prepared. My phone buzzed again. More texts from Marcus. Some were threats, others were him begging. I showed them to the detective, who added them to his evidence file. The horses will be back within the hour, he told me. Do you want to press charges? I thought about Kate, about family, about second chances. Not yet. But I want a restraining order. Marcus is never coming near my horses again. Sarah nodded. We had already planned this. A legal warning was sometimes more powerful than a trial. Marcus would know that if he messed up again, he'd be in serious trouble. Then I heard the rumble of trucks. I checked my cameras. My horses were back. Safe, unharmed. The GPS trackers had done their job. Detective Harris looked at me. One more thing. The buyer vanished, but we tracked the payment. The bank account was empty. There was never any real money. Just as I suspected. Marcus had planned to take the horses across state lines, pretend they were stolen, and run off with whatever money he could get. A classic scam. As my horses were led back into their paddocks, I felt relief. I had dealt with Marcus's lies for years. Now I had proof, power, and control. One last text from Kate. Marcus is gone. He took all our money and disappeared. I should have listened to you. I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied, come over tomorrow. We need to talk. Sometimes the hardest lessons come from trusting the wrong people. But as I watched my horses settle back home, I knew one thing for sure. I would never let Marcus take anything from me again. The morning after my horses were returned, Kate showed up at my door looking exhausted. Her eyes were red and she held a folder in her shaking hands. He took everything, she said, sitting down at my kitchen table. Our savings, the house payment, even my personal account. The bank said he withdrew it all yesterday before he tried to sell your horses. I placed a cup of coffee in front of her. I'm sorry, Kate, not for Marcus, but for what you're going through. She pulled out the papers, bank statements showing zero balances, overdraft notices, and a foreclosure warning. I should have listened to you, all those times you warned me about him. What matters now is what you do next, I said, thinking of the file I had on Marcus, proof of all the shady things he'd done over the years. Did you report the stolen money to the police? She nodded. This morning, but because we're married, it's complicated. He had access to most of the accounts. I thought about how I had protected my horses with careful planning. Kate, remember when Marcus tried to get you to add his name to your inheritance account? The one from Grandma? Yes. But I refused. It was the one thing I didn't let him touch. For the first time, I saw a hint of her old strength. That money is still safe, then, I said. And listen, you can stay here while you figure things out. Tears filled her eyes. After everything? After I helped him. You're still my sister, I said. And you're not the first person to fall for someone like Marcus. Over the next few weeks, more details came out. Detective Harris called to tell me Marcus had pulled similar scams in 3 states, using fake names and documents. The buyer for my horses was part of his scheme. We got warrants out for both of them, the detective said. Your security footage and records helped us link multiple cases. You weren't the first victim, but you might be the last. Kate moved into my guest room, slowly rebuilding her life. She got a job at a real estate office and started therapy to understand how Marcus had controlled her. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the horses, she asked, "How did you know?" About Marcus, about the horses, everything. I thought about the missing documents, the GPS trackers, the little signs I had noticed over the years. I paid attention. Every time something felt off, I made a note. I got ready. And I called you paranoid, she said quietly. You were in love, I replied, and he counted on that. The police never caught Marcus, at least not right away, but his scam had fallen apart, and every major horse registry now had his name flagged. He wouldn't be able to pull the same trick again. 6 months later, I stood in the winner's circle at the national championships, watching my stallion, Thunder, prance proudly with his blue ribbon. Kate stood beside me, cheering just as loud as I was. She had started helping at the stables, reconnecting with her love of horses, something Marcus had always discouraged. Your brother-in-law really thought he could sell a champion horse without papers? A trainer asked, shaking her head. Some people think they can take shortcuts, I said, patting Thunder's neck. They don't realize that in this world, reputation and records are everything. Kate squeezed my hand. Some people learn that the hard way. That night, as I updated Thunder's competition records, my phone buzzed with a message from Detective Harris. Thought you'd want to know, Marcus tried his scam in Texas. They were ready for him. He's in custody. I showed the message to Kate, who was brushing Luna in the stable. She smiled, a real, strong smile. Good, she said. Some people don't learn until they hit rock bottom. Through the stable windows, I saw my horses safe in their paddocks. The best victories aren't just about winning. They're about protecting what matters. Marcus had thought he was clever, but he never understood that true value isn't just in what you own. It's in how well you guard it.